get to.
Let's also not forget Princeton undergrad, Harvard Law doesn't hurt. Here's another projection in Colorado. Wow. All right.
Democratic Governor Jarad Polis in Colorado is the projection from NBC News. I should tell you, there will be a number of firsts this evening. Jarad Polis will be the first openly gay man to ever be the governor of an American state, and congratulations to him for that.
Mr. Kornacki has new numbers from Florida.
Yes, it is coming down to the final votes in Florida. You see statewide, they say 98% in. Let's take you through. It's getting very simple right now. The lead for Rick Scott in the Senate race sitting at about 63,000 votes and change. Okay, 63,000 votes. That's what Bill Nelson needs to make up. There's basically two places here that are left with outstanding vote. The biggest by far right here, the core Democratic county of Broward County. We believe there are, I'll put the math on the screen, in fact, it might be easier to understand this way. We believe there are 120,000 or so votes still to be counted out of Broward County. Now, if you run, about 70% for Nelson, about 30% of Scott, the rest of the way, that would mean that Nelson picks up about 48,000 votes in terms of plurality. He can get close to 50,000 out of Broward. So again, you go back to the statewide total. He's running 64,000 behind right now. Let me just make sure that didn't update while we were in there. He's running 64,000 behind, and he can get a bulk of that, a big chunk of that back from Broward. The other place, however, where there remains outstanding vote is right here on the Gulf Coast in Charlotte County. And again, you can see right here, Trump-ish numbers here for Rick Scott tonight, 61 to Trump 62 2 years ago. This is the other big place where you've got outstanding vote. Now, probably about 20,000 votes we're talking about here, so it pales by comparison to Broward. But that is the problem that Rick Scott faces. And you can see in the governor's race, if that's the gap there in the governor's race, it is much larger now, closing in on 100,000 votes in the governor's race with the same basic math. I can also tell you we have made another call now in the House. This one expected. We talked to you earlier in the night. Connor Lamb running in that newly created district here. Keith Rothfuss is a Republican incumbent. This is two incumbents who basically chose to run against each other in this new 17th district of Pennsylvania. Actually, if this district had existed in 2016, Trump would have won it by 2 points. But Lamb was leading in all the polling big. Republicans pulled out. This counts on the board as a Democratic pickup. This was officially a Republican district, the way they count these things. So you see there is another Democratic pickup. We think Colorado's 6. You don't see it here, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 now. And you can see, again, as these counties, as these precincts, as these districts start to be processed by our decision desk. I told you about that House estimate we had earlier. Remember, the first time we checked in on it about, I'm thinking 45 minutes ago, it was a 65% chance that Democrats would get control of the House. It has now gone to 70%. Another reason it's gone up, I can tell you, that's not a pickup. They were telling me it's a pickup. It wasn't a pickup. But you could see a 70% chance now. Our decision desk is estimating that when all of these districts come in, Democrats will end up with a majority. Again, that number is subject to change as more of these come in. But you see the trend here, again, of these Clinton-held districts. If the Democrats came into tonight needing to flip 23 Republican seats, well, how many districts in the country are Republican-held and won by Hillary Clinton? The answer is 25. So if Democrats just get the lion's share of those, and that is basically where their pickups are tonight, if they get the lion's share of those, that either gets them there or gets them to the cusp of being there, and they only need a few others. So again, I think just seeing that success Democrats are having in those Clinton districts, part of the reason you're seeing that needle sit there at 70% right now.
Hey, Steve, can you fly me to two places, please? Nebraska, where we have a call for Fisher in the Senate race. There you go. We'll put it on up the side of the building. And can you take us out to Texas?
On that Senate race, everybody wondering. Let's see here. Right now, Beto O'Rourke leading this thing. Wow, that is a 5,069 vote margin in Texas. Here's the big thing I think that's been happening in the last couple minutes. We are getting, so Harris County, largest county in the state, Houston, we are starting to get, sorry, that should, Yeah, we should be getting the results there. Let's try that one more time. This thing's being a little, wow, that's being uncooperative. Well, the vote was coming in from Harris County. Unfortunately, I can show you the suburban county right outside of it, Fort Bend County. This is it's basically all in right now. You can compare this to 2016, an improvement there for Democrats, but you're seeing more improvement for Democrats off 2016 around Austin, around the Dallas area, also Beto O'Rourke's El Paso. That is not... having a few glitches here. We do have numbers from El Paso. I apologize. I'm going to get to the bottom of this.
Kansas governor?
Yeah, Steve, with the understanding that you are having some difficulty with the board, I'm still going to ask you to do something for me. Tell me if it won't work, but I would like to check in on a couple of governor's races, if you don't mind. Kansas, Wisconsin, and Michigan. Any of those giving us any substantial numbers? Yeah,
here you go. In Kansas, we do have substantial numbers. In Laura Kelly, the Democrat, remember, this is a three-way race. Greg Orman running as an independent, getting 6% of the vote. You see Laura Kelly right here, leading right now with a substantial amount of the vote in. And you can see the big reason for this, Johnson County. This is geographically small. In terms of population, this is giant. This is the big bedroom community outside of Kansas City. This is traditionally was a Republican bastion. People who liked low taxes, but also maybe they were a little bit more moderate culturally. With Chris Kobach at the top of the ticket, this is a county that was already not so hot on the Brownback before him, but with Kobach at the top of the ticket, you can see big problems here for Republicans in a place they used to do a lot better. And if Kelly's running 20 points ahead in Johnson County, that portends big problems for Republicans across the state there. And I'm sorry, what was the other governor's race?
Michigan and South Dakota are the other ones I'm interested in.
Let's take a trip up here to Michigan. This is my first look at it too. Gretchen Whitmer, again, about half the vote coming in, leading here. And critically, you see no votes coming in so far from Wayne County, Detroit, biggest Democratic part of the state right there. South Dakota, where Democrats have not won a governor's election since 1974. Ooh, look at this. You got 75 votes. 65. Can I add 65 votes there, separating Kristi Noem from Billy Sutton.
I told you that was going to be a race. I told you that was going to be a race. That's amazing.
Yep, Mark Murray and I just talked about that race.
The governor's races tonight are going to be fascinating. Obviously, Scott Walker in Wisconsin is the great survivor of Republican politics, given what he's been through. Michigan, Bill Schuette, having been through his role as Attorney General in the middle of the Flint water crisis, among other things, bringing criminal charges like manslaughter charges against officials from the incumbent Republican administration. That Michigan race, super interesting. South Dakota, Iowa, Kansas. There's a whole bunch of races in the governor's, in terms of governor's contests tonight, where things just, you couldn't have guessed them before you got into seeing it between these candidates. It's just going to be a fascinating patchwork.
I've been asked to toss us to a quick break, and when we come back, we're walking on up to the 10 o'clock hour on the East Coast. We are expecting a number of calls when we come back. That is the meter showing the percentage chance of Democratic control of the House at this hour.
It
80%.
shakes because it's nervous.
Yeah, it's cold out there on the ice.